So the Board of Commissioners will be getting started here in just a moment. We're going to give a few more minutes for everybody to get signed in. If you'll just be patient with us, thank you. I will call to order the meeting of the Lincoln County Board of Commissioners and the Planning Board on this 4th day of May of 2026. If you would, please join me and stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Carpenter. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, the agenda is approved. And then I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
All right, motion by Commissioner Cecina. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. All right, Item number 3, National Police Week proclamation. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jennifer, do we have a proclamation on a piece of wood that we're going to hand out? Nope, okay. May the 11th begins National Police Week. It's probably the most solemn week in the year for police officers. More than 200 police officers have died in the line of duty in the past year. And it's a difficult time for all of us who have been police officers in the past. I want to recognize Commissioner Carpenter and Daniel Rodhams over on the planning board as being deputies on the board along with me. And the proclamation goes, to recognize Police Week 2026 and honor the service and sacrifice of law enforcement officers who have been killed in the line of duty, protecting our communities and safeguarding our democracy. Whereas more than 300 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including dedicated members of the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office and the Lincolnton Police Department. And whereas since the first recorded line of duty death in 1786, more than 2,450 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice. And their names are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Memorial in Washington, D.C. And whereas the service and sacrifice of those officers will be honored during National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial 38th Candlelight Vigil on the evening of May the 13th, 2026, held in conjunction with National Police Week, observed May the 11th through the 16th. And where May the 15th designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day, a day on which U.S. flags should be flown at half-staff in honor of all fallen officers and their families. Now therefore be it resolved that the Lincoln County Board of County Commissioners hereby proclaims May the 11th through the 16th, 2016 at National Police Week in Lincoln County, and publicly salutes the service and sacrifice of law enforcement officers in our community and across the nation, adopted this 4th day of May, 2026. I have to tell you that it's a very difficult thing working in police homicide. I've worked 8 in my police career, and I'm not sure if there's anything worse that you go to, or anybody's family, maybe a child molested or death. I remember when my son was born, and shortly thereafter I went to a SIDS death. I thought that was pretty devastating. But it's a difficult thing to go to, and it's never easy. And this was a nice thing that President Kennedy did for all the law enforcement officers in this country back in 1962, I believe, 61, 62. So thank you for all of you who support the police here in Lincoln County. We know that we have a great deal of supporters for the sheriff and the sheriff's department here, and you've proven that through the many years of service to our community. Thank you.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve as presented.
So moved.
All right, motion by Commissioner Carpenter. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, that is approved. Now we'll move to item number 4, final decision for SUP 525A. Thank you. Jeremiah.
All right, good evening, everyone. So following the public hearing on April 6th, the Board of Commissioners postponed a final decision on special use permit number 525A. This was a request to amend a previously approved special use permit for a satellite recreational complex for the Lincoln Charter School on an 87-acre site on Old Plank Road. The proposed amendments to that approved special use permit plan included the relocation of some of the structures and the outdoor athletic facilities on that site. The applicant highlighted the Performing Arts Center, I believe, during the public hearing, that was previously proposed as 70,000 square feet. They had reduced it in size to about 27,000 square feet. Notably, the football stadium with the stadium lights was relocated towards the front of the site, close to the road frontage on Old Plank Road. During the hearing, there were several attendees who spoke in opposition to this, who resided in the nearby area, specifically in the subdivision, Sigmund Farms, adjacent to this site. And I believe the commissioners gave the directive to the applicant to work with those opponents to work through some proposed conditions to address their concerns. So we've provided to you in writing the proposed conditions that the applicant is now proposing. And if you'll bear with me, I'm going to read those into the record, and I'm going to try to be brief. With regards to stadium lighting, it will be utilized for scheduled practices and games only, and will be turned off shortly after their conclusion. Home football games are expected to begin at 7:30 p.m., supporting an evening schedule that concludes in a timely manner. As previously stated, the applicant is utilizing LED lighting that is targeted and does not create urban flooding. With regards to the parking lot and site lighting may be controlled via photocell and can be turned off after closing hours. The applicant is currently in discussions with Lincoln County Parks and Rec to align with their operational ordinance where applicable and feasible. Leased lighting through Duke Energy may influence the final implementation. With regards to other community requests, the applicant is actively evaluating the inclusion of a main entrance gate as part of the design and construction process. The Mount Zion Church Road access point is planned to remain closed during regular operations and used primarily as an exit during high-traffic events to reduce congestion. The applicant states that they are also working to align their operational practices, including lighting and access hours, with Lincoln County Parks and Recreation Ordinance standards where feasible. Additionally, signage will be installed indicating that representatives of the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office are authorized to enforce site rules and support community safety. So these are proposed conditions by the applicant, and those would be included on the approved site plan if the board votes to approve it. I believe that catches us up to speed, and I'll attempt to answer any questions you have for me.
Jeremiah, is anyone from the homeowners group with that adjacent property here? Any of the opposition? Are y'all in agreement with this? Were y'all part of this process? If you could come to the podium, please.
And Mr. Chair, we need to swear them in, and I can swear you in at the podium. I can swear you in at the podium.
Okay.
Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do. We received all that information as well, and the only thing that we really wanted documented was that that gate would be locked. I've met with Lieutenant Alvarado and also John Davis, Parks and Rec. We've emailed back and forth and talked about what happens when you leave parks locked as opposed to unlocked, and I think that's our main concern is people being able to access the facility at 24 hours. So if they could put in there that it's going to be locked, then there's not much else that we oppose. I mean, the density, they're moving that to the front of the facility that's behind all of us, but I just feel like we're at a point where there's not much we can do about that.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anything the applicant would like to add before we?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Rob Brown. I've already been sworn in. I get feedback. Y'all hearing that? Okay, I'll stand back. With regard to locking the gates, I mean, our current campuses aren't locked. We don't have any incidents that I'm aware of. I checked with Dr. Bryant that have been reported, just like a lot of other school campuses are open. So we're concerned that we've committed that this will be public use aspect for this site, and locking those gates may prevent that. Additionally, we think there might be issues with the fire marshal with regard to fire egress as well. But a lot of communication between Dr. Bryant and his team and the homeowners. They provided a whole lot more information than what was in those emails, and they'll continue to do that and to be good neighbors, just as we are at the existing 2 campuses we have on Highway 27 and Highway 16. So happy to answer any further questions.
Okay, any further questions? All right, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the
thank you.
findings of fact as submitted by the applicant.
So moved.
All right, motion by Commissioner Patton. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve SUP 525A.
So moved.
All right, motion by Commissioner Carpenter. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, it is approved. All right, now we'll go to zoning public hearings. Jeremiah?
Yes, just one item of note. One of the hearings that was scheduled for tonight, zoning map amendment number 781, Johnny Hefner being the applicant in that case, he has withdrawn that request, so that public hearing has been canceled for this evening. Before I begin with tonight's public hearings, I'll ask the county attorney to provide some procedural guidance.
So, good evening, everyone. Tonight, we will have both quasi-judicials and legislative matters. A legislative hearing is a forum for expressing public opinion about a project. There are no statutory requirements regarding who may speak during a legislative hearing, but redundant and repetitive testimony could be ruled out of order. Therefore, if you are part of a group or you and your neighbors have substantially similar interests, please appoint a spokesperson to speak on your group's behalf. A quasi-judicial hearing is an evidentiary hearing where the board must make a finding of fact as provided in the Unified Development Ordinance. The findings must be based on competent and substantial evidence. Anyone wishing to speak at a quasi-judicial hearing tonight must have standing under law. If you have received a written notice from the county relating to the hearing tonight, then you are deemed to have standing. If not, and you have signed up to speak, then please notify the chairman that you did not receive the notice, and we will determine whether you have standing at that time. So I need to confirm that no board members have a conflict of interest in regards to the case before us tonight. No member shall participate in or vote in a manner that would violate the applicant's constitutional rights to an impartial decision maker. Impermissible violations of due process include a member having a fixed opinion prior to hearing the matter that is not susceptible to change. Any undisclosed ex parte communications prior to any quasi-judicial hearing tonight, or a close familial, business, or other associational relationship with the applicant, or a financial interest in the outcome of the matter. So does any board member on either board have such a conflict? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, before we get started, I would just like to say we have a long agenda with these items here tonight. Everybody be patient, take a deep breath. We understand there's a lot of opposition to what's on this docket, but be respectful, and we have process to go through, so let's take it and let's get through here in a timely manner and everybody go home safely. Are y'all ready to begin? Go ahead, Jeremiah.
Thank you for the intro. Tonight's first public hearing
Hold on,
is
Jeremiah.
Plan Development 2026-1. EC New Vision Carolinas LLC is the applicant in this case. This is a request to rezone 93.8 acres from residential single family and transitional residential to Plan Development residential senior housing. This is for a residential subdivision with up to 118 lots for age-restricted single-family detached homes. The property is located on the north side of Highway 73, about 1,500 feet east of Ingleside Farm Road, directly adjacent to the East Lincoln High School campus. A conceptual master plan for this proposed development has been submitted as part of the rezoning application, and that would serve as the master plan for the development if the rezoning is approved. In addition, the applicant has provided the minutes from a community involvement meeting that they hosted on March 17th, 2026. You have their written summary in your packet. This property is located in Eastern Lincoln Development District overlay, and it's adjoined by parcels that are zoned planned development residential. That's the Trilogy at Lake Norman subdivision on the other side of the highway, transitional residential, and residential single family. Properties in this area are used for residential and civic uses, the aforementioned school being one of those civic uses. We also have a fire station nearby. Most of this property is located within an area designated by the adopted Lincoln County Land Use Plan as single-family neighborhood, which is suitable for single-family homes at densities up to 2 units per acre. This project has a gross density well below that 2 units per acre. However, a portion of this property, specifically the portion directly adjacent to the East Lincoln High School campus, was deeded from the school system to the current property owner back in December. Because it was previously part of the school campus parcel, it was designated as a special district in the land use plan, suitable for unique developments such as institutional facilities, government-owned facilities. Since this was part of a school campus, it was included in that special district when the land use plan was adopted. So a traffic impact analysis was not required to be performed for the proposed development because these 118 age-restricted single-family homes are not expected to generate at least 100 AM or PM peak hour trips. However, NCDOT, North Carolina Department of Transportation, did preliminarily indicate that as part of their driveway permit review for access to 73 from this subdivision, they will require a turn lane at the site entrance. That is shown, labeled on the site plan that you have included as the last page of your packet. And I'm sure the applicant can speak in a little more detail to how that will be delivered. NCDOT also explained that they expect that turn lane to be installed prior to the recording of the subdivision plat and prior to the construction of any homes in the subdivision. The applicant has indicated their intent to serve this development with public water and public sewer. Now that is of course subject to the review of fully designed utility plans by Lincoln County Public Utilities Division. The proposed master plan for this senior housing plan development complies with the UDO standards for setting aside 50% of the site as undeveloped recreation and open space. It complies with the undisturbed project boundary buffer standards and exterior sidewalk standards. The exterior sidewalk here, given that there are some constraints with regards to the existing topography along the road frontage on Highway 73, this sidewalk is not directly adjacent to 73. It's a little more inward to the site. If the IT staff wouldn't mind navigating to the site plan, the very last page of the packet, I'll be glad to kind of draw your attention to that. Just because that will be a little different than what we're typically used to seeing for these frontage sidewalks. If you'll navigate down one more page, please. Keep going, yep. There we go, thank you. So at the bottom of the screen there, for the benefit of the audience, Highway 73 is just below the bottom of the screen, and left to right or east to west, you can see a line that traverses between that first row of lots and Highway 73. That dark gray line that's called out on the site plan is a 10-foot trail easement. And so that would be a proposed paved trail as labeled on the site plan, and that would connect from the sidewalk on the entrance road. And as you traverse this site east to west or right to left, it would go from the sidewalk on the entrance road to a greenway easement that will be part of the Catawba Thread Trail corridor. So installed paved surface trail tying into a future greenway there. So that's a little bit different from what we're used to seeing, so I wanted to point that out. You have the applicant's or the staff's proposed statement of consistency and reasonableness in your packet. We do acknowledge that a portion of this site is not consistent with the adopted land use plan because it was part of a special district previously owned by the school system. But we do recommend approval of this, and you have our proposed statement there in your packet. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you have for me.
Anyone have any questions for Jeremiah?
Jeremiah, this is the one where they're going to have to borrow the school system driveway as well. Is that correct?
So the applicant can speak to this in more detail once they're up here to present their proposal. But my understanding is they're proposing to tie in the school bus driveway, parking lot driveway, into their new subdivision road once they build it.
And is anybody here from the schools to discuss that with them?
I'm not sure if we have a representative here from the school system, but, okay.
So we can hear from him at some point.
If the board would like to call for him to come and weigh in on this, certainly.
Come on, Eric.
And while he's approaching the podium, I just want to take a moment to remind we're still working on the sound. We know there is a little bit of an echo depending on where you are, and try to remind the speakers, these are directional microphones, so try to stay in the front of the microphone when you speak and try to stay about 2 inches, within 2 inches of the microphone to help prevent the echo.
Thank you for coming this evening, Eric.
You're welcome.
Okay.
What- Can you ask me the question?
For the school board in regards to using their entrance or to the school bus parking lot, or?
Yeah, we have sold that property and portion of the property for them to use to enter their proposed subdivision. The bus lot as well as the faculty parking lot. The busy times and peak times are, of course, right at the morning at 7:30, and then at the end when we dismiss at 3. That parking lot is not our primary source of entrance and exit. We use the upper lots for both students and also certain staff.
So you're okay with this?
We are.
Okay, thank you. All right, is the applicant here? Anything the applicant would like to add?
Good evening, Chairman, Planning Commission, Planning Board. I'm Whitney Hodges. I represent the applicant, which is EPCON. And we have a PowerPoint, but we don't have to go through it if we, there we go. I won't really belabor any of the points that staff has already made, but do want to just highlight a couple of things. Next slide. In our site plan, we are a 55 and up community. I was here in November to request a text amendment to allow for a development like this. And so what I really find interesting about the plan that we are putting before you is the ability that we have been able to meet all the requirements of the UDO, well, as well as providing well under that density of 2 units. Our lot layout is about 1.2 units, or 1.2 units per acre. Next slide, we will continue. Just want to highlight, you can go to the next slide. Just want to highlight a few things about the EPCON communities that we mentioned also in the text amendment. Our user, which is 55 and up, usually produce less traffic. We have a lower household, per unit household, so that usually translate into some lower service costs, as well as, in the next slide, fewer impacts to the schools. We do have school students, but usually fewer of those. And then our residents are typically very active in businesses and community engagement. What's also unique about an EPCON home is our courtyard style. That style is, the private area is kind of contained between the houses, and then outside is maintained by the HOA. Next slide. And just to give you some examples of the elevations, this is a farmhouse, which we have built in several communities, and the next slide is a craftsman. Now, you're going to have some specific questions that I have a group of people behind me that can answer those for you. For instance, about that connection through the school. That will be a public road, and we did work with the school system to kind of make that alignment so that it is safer for all users at that. And we're also providing connection into Bella Vista. So that's also going to create some opportunity to disperse traffic. The feedback is very hard.
All right, thank you. Do any commissioners have any questions for the applicant? Okay. I'll open the public comments, the public hearing for PD 2026-1. And I guess first on the list is Ned Devine. Ned Devine? Ned Devine's the first one signed up to speak. Ned Devine is the first one to speak.
Ned Devine, 6972 Potter House Lane, Iron Station, North Carolina. Traffic, cars. I want a little bit of clarification here. I'm pretty dumb when it comes to all this development and all. When they put in development like this and they require public water and public sewer, who pays for that? Does anybody know? Does the county pay for that, or does the developer pay for that?
Sorry. Can you hear me now? Okay. So for this is a plan development. So the developer pays for the installation of water and sewer lines.
So everything inside that development is covered by the developer. No charges to the county residents as far as tax money.
And I'll clarify some of that too. Even if the county does pay for water and sewer, it's not paid for out of general tax funds. It's paid for out of the enterprise funds that we receive from the payment of water and sewer.
So it pays for itself.
Correct. That's the
Okay.
point of an enterprise.
So where's the water come from?
Lake Norman.
Lake Norman, that is also being used by Statesville, Morrisville, Troutman, Sherrills Ford, Cornelius, and also the city of Charlotte has requested 30 million additional gallons a day, and we're going to keep pumping water out there. Does anybody even know how much that river can sustain in growth before you pump it dry? Is that a concern to anybody? Not. You know, it don't make sense to just keep on draining it dry. Right now, go over there and look at it during this drought. Now, during normal rainy season, might be all right, but right now, it's drying up. We're just gonna keep pumping. 650 homes here, 324 apartments there, 120 homes here, 40 homes over here. Folks, it's a lot of water. I understand that our good chairman sent a letter to Raleigh about wanting information about the roads. Is that correct? Did you get a response? Not got a response yet. So we just keep on putting the cart before the horse or loading the mule. Don't worry about the, yeah, okay. You know, in closing, my granddaughter goes to East Lincoln High School. Grandson does too. I was telling her about this, and she said, won't that mean more traffic? I said, yeah. Of course, I'm sure there's going to be police out there stopping folks coming out before 7 o'clock. 55 years and older, they're still working. Anyway, she said, more cars mean more danger. There's a 17-year-old with more common sense than we got around here. It's a shame. It's a shame.
All right, next on the list, we have Andrew Allison. Andrew Allison. Okay, all right. George Arena.
Good evening, George Arena, 6081 Pier Drive, Denver. I'm a resident of Trilogy. I'm also on the board of Trilogy, and I've been authorized to speak on behalf of Trilogy's board. Our primary concern here is obviously traffic. We have not seen a driveway situation like this. When we went to the development meeting, we asked the applicant how that driveway was going to work with right turn coming in, people coming out, pedestrian traffic, and the buses coming out. Got no good answer. We've researched with a traffic expert to try to find similar driveways like this where buses come into a short area. We don't know who has priority, whether the bus has priority, whether passenger coming in has priority. So, and you're going to see we have a presentation on the TIA appeal coming up. This whole area from Little Egypt back up to Highway 16 bypass is just jammed, and it doesn't look like this thing has coordinated at all with the commercial development across the street. So again, traffic is our main concern. We'd like to let you see what the TIA appeal presentation is and hold off approval of this until you realize what you're going to do for that TIA approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Jeff Moore. Okay. Alex Robinson.
Hi, my name is Alex Robinson. I live at 2123 Norwood here in Denver, or in Denver. I'm speaking in partial opposition, not full opposition of this, as I live in Bella Vista, and I'm not sure if I'm the only one speaking on behalf of Bella Vista. Our board, our HOA is owned by a company, so we don't really have representation. Our big concern is the pass-through into Bella Vista. We have a lot of younger families in our neighborhood, and so most of that public traffic that'll be coming through is now going to interfere with our pool and our playground where kids are playing and families are. That's one of our big concerns. One of my other questions was actually for the board and why there was no traffic analysis done for the pass-through for Bella Vista. My big concern is traffic coming off of 73 and using that as an intersection to get onto North Little Egypt, and the same for traffic coming off of North Little Egypt getting onto 73 to turn right. So that was my question for the board as to why there's no traffic analysis. The 100 additional cars from the people who live there, it'll probably be less than that, but I drive that every single morning, and there's thousands of cars that cross that intersection between school traffic and people going to work. It is way more than 100 cars that are going to be passing through that community, going through Bella Vista and vice versa off of North Little Egypt, back through Bella Vista, through that neighborhood, interfering with the school again, and then causing backup. So that was my first question for the board. Okay. The other thing was basically my main request is one, for a traffic analysis to be done for that transition through Bella Vista, what traffic looks like at the intersection of 73 and North Little Egypt. And my other request is for the transition through Bella Vista to can be completely removed. We don't want the additional traffic coming through our neighborhood. It's a lot of traffic that I know that's going to intersect that neighborhood to not have to deal with that light. And then additional traffic that's backing up on 73 in front of the school where the light change is going to have to increase time. We already have massive backups on 73, making that intersection really difficult to get through in the morning, and especially in the afternoons and at high traffic times. But we're going to have additional lead times going down 73 because the light change time is going to increase as well. So main request is just the removal of the transition through Bella Vista. If it's light enough traffic, they can use that one light. I don't think the necessity to go through Bella Vista is a requirement. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, having no additional people signed up to speak, I will close the public hearing. And we'll move on to PD 2022-6A.
So this is a request from Garden Street Community Southeast LLC to amend the conditions of a plan development residential master plan that was approved in 2024 for a residential subdivision on the north side of Highway 150 at the intersection with Shuford Road. That subdivision could have up to 150 lots for single-family detached homes. The proposed amendment is to remove the requirement of constructing turn lanes on Highway 150 at the intersection with Shuford Road. The plan development master plan that was approved in February of 2024 includes a condition that the applicant must install 3 turn lanes as recommended by their traffic impact analysis that was prepared for this development. Those 3 turn lanes include an eastbound left turn lane with 100 feet of storage on Highway 150, a westbound right turn lane with 100 feet of storage on Highway 150, and a southbound right turn lane with 100 feet of storage on Shuford Road. The applicant is requesting to amend the conditions to not install the 2 turn lanes on Highway 150. The UDO includes a provision in section 9.8.7 whereby applicants can request for the Board of Commissioners to remove the requirement to construct the turn lanes. And it's their responsibility to provide documentation of their efforts to acquire the right-of-way. The applicant has included with their application a summary of their efforts to obtain the right-of-way necessary to dedicate public road right-of-way for these turn lanes. And I'll allow the applicant to speak in more detail to those efforts and any questions you have on that. On March 10th of this year, the applicant hosted a community involvement meeting regarding this request. You have the planning staff's proposed statement of consistency and reasonableness. We are not recommending approval of this request, and you have our proposed statement there. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have on that or on anything related to this request.
Any commissioner or planning board have any questions for Jeremiah? All right. If the applicant would like to come down and speak. This goes to the planning board. Is that what you're talking about? The planning board will deliberate and then bring that back to us, and we will vote on this at our second meeting in May. Okay. Oh, no problem. No problem.
Good evening. My name is Alan McDowell with Bowler Engineering, civil engineer on the project, representing Garden Street Communities. With me, I've got Mackenzie Covington with the development team. So tonight's request, to summarize what Jeremiah was saying, it's not a change in use, not an increase in density. We're simply requesting the removal of the NC 150 turn lane requirements. For a bit of project background, the project was originally approved in 2024 with 150 single-family homes on approximately 159 acres. Afterward, the site plan was administratively revised and reduced the lot count to 127. So effectively, long-range planning with a large lot residential overlay allows essentially 1.35 units per acre. This site is planned to be developed at approximately 0.8. The original approval included 3 turn lane requirements, east and west turn lanes on NC 150, and southbound turn on Shuford Road. The Shuford Road turn lane is still planned to be constructed. The primary issues with the NC 150 turn lanes require the off-site right-of-way and order easement to allow for construction of the turn lanes. The applicant does not own or control the needed property to obtain the right-of-way. The applicant has made repeated efforts to obtain necessary rights, including formal offers to purchase. These efforts were unsuccessful in 2 cases. The applicant does not have condemnation authority and cannot force private owners to grant right-of-way. Since then, the project team has coordinated extensively with NCDOT. NCDOT has indicated they are comfortable proceeding without the NC 150 turn lanes, subject to county approval. It's important, obviously, as NC 150 is a state main road. So the reason for the request, it's not simply a request to avoid responsibility. It's a request to remove a condition that the applicant cannot reasonably satisfy. Sorry, the echo's throwing me off a little bit. The turn lane conditions depends on cooperation from third-party property owners, and without relief, off-site owners can effectively stop an otherwise approved project. To summarize key points, the project remains the same low-density residential project. The additional lots or access points are proposed. The applicant made good faith efforts to obtain the required property rights. Applicant is still committed to constructing required improvements along Shuford Road. NCDOT has indicated the project can proceed without the NCD 150 turn lanes, and therefore we feel the requested amendment is practical and reasonable under the circumstances. For those reasons, we respectfully request approval of the amendment to remove the NC 150 turn lane requirement. Happy to answer any questions.
Any planning board member or commissioner have anything to add or ask of the applicant? Okay. At this time, yes.
Do you have any documentation that you can provide to us from the NCDOT?
Yes, sir. Well, I can follow up afterwards. I apologize. I thought I'd printed that out. We do have email correspondence with Travis.
Yeah, Travis Jordan, the district engineer, and then Mark Stafford, the division engineer, have both relieved us. I can provide email.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. I will open the public hearing for PD 2022-6. First, Mackenzie Covington.
That's applicant. Yeah.
Okay, you're part of the applicant. All right, Kenneth Reap.
Good evening. My name is Kenneth Reap. I live at 3554 Windsor Trail, Lincoln. And Windsor Trail is located just off of Old Mill Road, which is very close to the intersection in question. I drive through the Shuford Road intersection with 150 on a daily basis. The level of traffic in this area is already very heavy. The addition of 127 new homes will impede traffic at both the Shuford Road intersection and the Old Mill Road intersection, which is just right down the road. I think that this new development must have either traffic lanes or a traffic light installed. To do nothing at this point, at this intersection, would be very irresponsible because there is already a lot of congestion. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, Don Spence. All right. Where? All right. John from Parker Green Trail. All right. Tracy Ballard.
How y'all doing? I'm Tracy Ballard. I live at 2391 Union Church Road. I'm currently raising the 5th generation of children that have been brought up on that property. Probably most more than you're going to hear of any of the speakers that are going to be up here. Now, there are some old timers up here, but you know, maybe they'll speak, maybe they won't. I was there before Kettle Creek, Arbor Hills, Stonegate, literally every development that was pushed over our way. Not only has traffic increased, but when it jams up at that intersection, which it will, it only has one other direction to go. That's my way. Now, currently, our property floods, and it's farm property, and it floods all the time now because, just as I said before, Arbor Hills, Stonegate, they'll put in the silt ponds. Somebody will buy that lot, they shove it over and they build a house. So all that water comes right my way, just like this traffic will. And the problem with this county is, we may have a planning board, but there ain't many plans. I mean, the Romans started building roads in 300 BC, finished up 4 AD. You build the road first, and that's what you do. You conquer a property, you build the road. That road will not sustain what you're going to put in. It just won't. So we need to stop wiping before we poop in this county. Thank you very much.
All right, next we have Joe Fox. Joe Fox.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, my name is Joe Fox, and my family owns one of the adjacent properties to the proposed Caldwell Farms. Last year, this body listened to the concerns of citizens and voted not to approve the development. Due to a judicial order that went against this commission and the wishes of hundreds of concerned citizens, the plan was approved without changes. The developer is now asking for a variance, a change to the plan. During the community input meeting earlier this year, traffic data was used to justify this change that was almost 4 years old, and even the forecasted traffic count was almost 2 years out of date. Besides this, there are still concerns about water runoff and flooding from the impervious surfaces of roofs, driveways, and streets, as well as the 127 septic fields. 1 year later, the fact still remains. This body voted against the plan, and a variance is a change. I ask this commission again, vote against the proposed development. Thank you.
Jeff Ward. Jeff Ward.
My name's Jeff Ward. Live at 2085 Shuford Road, Lincoln, for the last 27 years. Just want to give the new commissioners a little update on this whole project that's going on down there with this company, Garden Street Communities. In 2023, we had a hearing, and this was voted down by the county commissioners. In 2024, February, miraculously, it was approved with the reasoning that if this company took the county to court, they would lose and have to pay court costs for this development. Now, I just want to give you a little bit of a background on what goes on in this little area of Lincoln County. From the Highway 16 4-lane, people and tractor trailers come up 150, they turn on to Shuford, go across Buffalo Shoals to a car farm as a cut through to go to the industrial park or to North 321. It's used by cars, trucks, tractor trailers. So any data that you have about surrounding homes or homes that's going to be built, that data's skewed because it is a cut through. It saves them from going all the way up to Lincoln and getting on the 4-lane 321 there. Another thing is when these people first came and presented this, they had a retired DOT engineer say that this was needed. At the time, we were looking at 150 homes, which would have been around 300 additional vehicles. Now y'all cut it back to where it's going to be roughly around 260, 130 or a few houses left, times 2. So anyway, but the people that have this property, they're buying these 3 pieces of property from the families that I know well. They've got plenty of room there to do this right-hand turn lane coming west on 150. That's no problem. But if you cannot address the concern that everybody before me has had about what you're going to do at 150 and the end of Shuford Road, then this is just going to be a mess that you guys don't want to have. So, and all this is the place right across the road from them. There's not enough road frontage for them to get this done.
Thank you, sir.
So,
Your 3 minutes is up.
Okay. You heard it.
With no additional speakers, I will close the public hearing, and we will move to CZ 2026-1. Jeremiah.
The applicant in this next case, CZ 2026-1, is Jay Henson, and he is requesting the rezoning of 7.25 acres located on the west side of NC 16 Business Highway, about 200 feet north of Sifford Road, from transitional residential to conditional zoning general business. This is for a 13-unit commercial complex. A site plan has been submitted as part of the rezoning application. You have that as the final page of your hearing packet. Since this is a proposed rezoning to a conditional zoning district, if the request is approved, the property could only be used for the specified uses in accordance with that site plan. The applicant has also included their written summary of the community involvement meeting that they hosted on March 24th of this year. This property is located in the Eastern Lincoln Development District overlay, and so some of the uses that are shown on the proposed site plan would require a special use permit in that overlay district. This conditional rezoning would satisfy the requirement without requiring a separate hearing for those special use permits. The adjoining parcels are zoned neighborhood business, planned development industrial. That's the Bloom Complex on Old Plank Road, transitional residential, and residential single-family. Properties in this area are used for industrial, business, residential, and civic purposes. This property is located within an area designated by the land use plan as an industrial center, suitable for manufacturing, warehousing, and distribution uses. You have included in your packet a list of permitted uses under the current zoning districts, and then the permitted uses in the proposed district are listed on the applicant's site plan. Again, that last page of your packet. You have the planning staff's recommended statement of consistency and reasonableness. Due to inconsistency with the land use plan and the factors stated in that reasonableness statement, we are recommending denial of this request, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have regarding that or anything else related to this project.
Commissioners or Planning Board, any questions for Jeremiah? All right. Is the applicant here?
Good evening. I'm Jay Henson with W&A Engineering. We did the site planning and engineering. I have with me Jake Palillo, who is the property owner, and he would like to speak regarding the proposed uses.
Good evening. My name is Jake Palillo, and my brother and I are the developers. I think there was a little bit of confusion over what our really intent is. The intent is to do flex warehouse space. And what the uses are really are for small business, has a little bit of office space up front and has warehouse space in the back. This is similar to what we've built in other locations, and it's ideal for small businesses like HVAC contractors, flooring contractors, where they have some office showroom space up front and then they have some warehouse space in the back. The rear of the property, if they can go back to the site plan, is industrial, and then to the, there you go, right there. So it's industrial to the back, and then business across the street and to the left and right of the property. And this use here fits really right in with those zoning requirements there. We don't want to have any restaurants or bars or anything like that. We're looking to just do, I'm sorry? And we've got a lot of small business owners that live in this area, and this is a great place for them to have an affordable shop. And it does have the warehouse space, which falls within the industrial. And any of those uses that you want to restrict, we're open to. Those special use permits, we don't want to put any of that stuff, and you can take that right out. Is there any questions for us?
Planning Board, Commissioners, any questions for the applicant? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I will open the public hearing for CZ 2026-1, and signed up to speak is Sandy and Mike.
Good evening. I'm Sandy Berazer. I'll be speaking for my husband, Mike, also. We live at 1113 South Highway 16 in Lowesville, directly across the street from the proposed entrance, and I mean literally across the street. I have several questions, actually, but first I'd like to speak to something Mr. Palillo said. The planned businesses that he's referring to That's all well and good, but the use is allowed by the zoning ordinance, list other things that would be allowed. So what's to stop those people from moving in when one of the other businesses move out? And we have windows across the street from there. So when a brewery moves in till 2 o'clock in the morning, we can't stop them. And I'm well aware of the fact that it is zoned partially commercial now, but we have lived there for 40 years. As the gentleman was speaking about being the 5th generation, our kids were raised there. As most of the people on that street have lived there for 40 years. So those businesses are mom and pop's businesses that close at 5 o'clock, and they have been there for 40 plus years. So there's a big difference than having tractor trailers pull in and out in front of my driveway, burdening an already overburdened highway. And the dangers of trying to turn left out of my driveway when this is going to be added to it, when traffic is already stopped in front of our house at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That's just part of the problem. A project this size, why didn't it trigger already a TIA to be done that hadn't been done? How is a septic going to be determined when you don't know who's going to occupy these spaces? Parking spaces. How do you determine parking spaces when you don't know who's going to occupy these places? How is that going to be determined? How much of our front yard is going to be lost? 40 feet? We could hitchhike from our front porch. We just respectfully ask you to look at this very seriously. And during the neighborhood meeting, I was spoken down to trying to explain to me that it would be very appealing because there's one next to his office. Well, with all due respect, he doesn't live in his office. We live in our home that we've made our oasis. It's not much, not to other people, but it is to us. It's where our children were raised. It's where we want to stay. And
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm sorry. But the traffic alone, it's not just, it's not
Ma'am,
just
your time's up.
I'm speaking for my husband as well. Both of us. I was told we could have both of our, I could speak for both of our 3 minutes.
There's more than, it takes more than 2 to be a group. So, I mean, it's 3 minutes.
Both of us live in our house. Okay. Well, I respectfully ask you to consider that. The
Thank
public
you.
safety as well. Thank you.
Okay, having no one else signed up to speak, go ahead.
So if I'm hearing the applicant correctly, he doesn't really know what's going in here. Is that correct? It could be one thing, it may be another.
If you could come back to the podium.
And the plans have changed a bit, have they not?
The only thing that's really changed is that we don't want to do restaurants or breweries. We rent these out to small businesses, small contractors. We have like one that's an elevator, and they do in-home elevators. We have another one that's a print shop. We have another one that's a contractor's yard. So yeah, they're small. They're definitely small business. We don't want to do any retail or bars or restaurants. That's where the confusion came in. I don't even know why that's in there. But I'm not opposed to, making an amendment to restrict those.
You might want to consider speaking with Andrew and the zoning folks about identifying exactly what you want to do before you ask us to vote on it. I'm never enthusiastic about voting on something I don't know what it's going to be.
Well, we don't have it. We're going to build it to lease it to small businesses. We don't have an exact tenant right now. And when we build these, that's who we attract, are small businesses.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I will declare the public hearing closed for CZ 2026-1. for CZ 2026-1. So now we'll move on to ZMA 778.
The applicant in this next case is Jonathan Burton. He's requesting the rezoning of a 4.05 acre parcel from residential single family to rural residential. This property is located on the east side of Llama Lane, about 2,300 feet south of Shoal Road in the Howard Creek Township. Adjoining parcels are zoned residential single family, and properties in this area are used for residential and agricultural purposes. This property is part of an area designated by the land use plan as rural living, suitable for residential uses on large lots. The development pattern in rural living areas is characterized by large lots, abundant open space, and a high degree of separation between buildings. Just some additional information, this property is located in the WS2 protected area of the regulated Indian Creek watershed. For residential developments for single-family homes like this, that limits the density to 1 unit per acre. The planning staff is recommending approval of this request. You have our proposed statement of consistency and reasonableness in your packet. You also have included in your packet the list of permitted uses under the current zoning district as well as the proposed zoning district. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you have for me.
Any planning board member or commissioner have any questions for Jeremiah?
Jeremiah, oh, I see. You can get in by LAMA Lane. He can get there by there.
I'm sorry, can you repeat your question?
I couldn't tell where he was going to get in there. It looked like it was landlocked, but it's not. There's a road that runs through there, isn't there?
Yes, there's a private easement, Llama Lane, to provide access out to Shoal Road.
Okay, thanks.
Any additional questions for Jeremiah? Is the applicant here, and is there anything they'd like to wish to add to this? Okay. I will open the public hearing for ZMA 778. And having no one else, or no one signed up to speak, then I will close the public hearing for ZMA 778. And we'll move on to ZMA 779.
This is a request to rezone a 0.79 acre parcel from neighborhood business to residential suburban. This property is located at 2981 West Old NC 150 Highway in Howard Creek Township. The adjoining parcels are owned residential suburban and transitional residential, and properties in this area are used for residential, business, and civic purposes. This property is located within an area designated by the land use plan as suburban commercial center, suitable for a variety of commercial uses. However, there is an existing structure on this property that was originally constructed as a residential dwelling that was converted at some point for commercial purposes. And so this property is currently zoned neighborhood business. The applicant wishes to rezone it back to residential. They've indicated their intent to repurpose that structure as a residential structure again. You have in your packet the list of permitted uses under the current and the proposed zoning districts. Our staff is recommending approval of this request, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have for me.
Planning board or commissioners have any questions? Okay. So I will open the public hearing for ZMA 779. Is the applicant here and anything they'd like to add?
Tim Elmore. I live right in behind it. And there's a road that goes in between it.
Sir, are you the applicant?
Do what?
Are you the applicant?
No, I'm one
Okay,
that
we
lives in behind it.
we call the applicant to speak. So,
I don't know what you're talking about there.
okay, if you could just step away from the podium and let the gentleman who is the applicant speak.
Good evening. My name is Robert Rhodes.
My sister and I own this property. We inherited it from our aunt and uncle who had an antique shop there for several years. And we have a prospective buyer that is interested in purchasing this property and making the necessary improvements to make it suitable for residential use. And that's contingent on the rezoning for residential.
Okay, does the commissioner or planning board have any questions for the applicant? All right, so public hearing has been opened, and we don't have anyone else signed up to speak, but I'm taking it you would like to speak?
Yes.
Okay, state your name and address.
Tim Elmore, P.O. Box 82, Kraus, Highway 150 West. If you'll pull that map up on where that property's at, I live all in behind it. So what's gonna be the deal on the road that goes in there? At 2941 and 2943, crosses the railroad tracks.
I don't have anything showing a road.
There's a road through there. It's a farm crossing, crosses the railroad. That's how I get to my property.
If I may. IT staff, would you mind navigating down 2 pages? One more. So I believe what you're referring to is the private driveway that crosses the railroad tracks and accesses your property?
Yep. It's been there for 50 years, 60 years, since 63.
I would ask the county attorney if she could advise, I mean, if you have a right-of-way through there or any kind of deed?
Yeah, that is the right-of-way.
Okay, that's,
So it's really not anything that this board would look at or consider. This is more of a private matter between you as the person using it to access their property and the property owner. So that's something you need to speak with the property owner about. And I don't know what's on your deed, giving you access or anything like that, but that's nothing that the board can take into consideration.
So you mean they could close the road down?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you need to speak to the property owner.
Well, now, if he sells it to somebody else, who am I gonna talk to then?
The property owner.
After he sold it?
Correct. I can't advise you on what your rights are. You probably need to hire an attorney to have a title search done, figure out what rights you have to access your property.
Yeah, let the railroad take up with it.
all right. Having no one else signed up to speak, I will declare the public hearing closed, and we'll move to ZMA 780.
The applicant in this rezoning case is MPV Land Fund LLC, and they're requesting the rezoning of 5.51 acres from neighborhood business to general business. This property is located on the south side of Webbs Road at the intersection with NC 16 Business Highway in Catawba Springs Township. This property is also located in the Eastern Lincoln Development District overlay, and it's adjoined by parcels that are zoned neighborhood business, general business, and residential single family. Properties in this area are used for business and residential purposes, and this area is designated by the land use plan as a suburban commercial center suitable for providing a variety of commercial uses to serve the daily needs of the surrounding neighborhoods. Most of this property is located in the critical area of the WS4 protected water supply watershed for Catawba River Lake Norman. That does have some implications for impervious coverage for non-residential development or commercial development. So there may be the potential that the applicant Once they design whatever they're proposing to develop on this site, they might have to come back for a watershed special use permit if they exceed that low-density threshold of 24% impervious coverage. We don't have a site plan here tonight. This is just a simple rezoning from neighborhood business to general business. You have a list of the permitted uses in both the proposed and the current zoning districts. You have the planning staff's proposed statement of consistency and reasonableness. We are recommending approval of this request, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have for me.
Any questions from the planning board or commissioners for Jeremiah?
So we still don't know what it's going to be. We don't know what he's going to put on the property.
There is no site plan associated with this request.
All right, is the applicant here? Is there anything they'd like to add?
Good evening, Commissioners, Planning Board. My name is Bailey Patrick. I'm with MPV Properties in Charlotte. I've been at MPV for 11 years, and we're a local development company. We specialize in commercial projects, and we've got experience in Denver before. This is a 2-story medical office building we developed just south of 73 and Highway 16 Business. We do not have plans for this property today, as was stated by Jeremiah. If you could go to the next slide, please. We have already purchased the L-shaped parcel and are under contract subject to rezoning on the square parcel there to the south. Apologies. If you could go to the next slide. This is the current zoning map. We are the BN parcel. You can see all the commercial zoning around. There's single family to our east, and sorry, next slide, please. So this is the main reason why we want to propose this rezoning is the currently BN only allows 10,000 square foot floor area, and the general business district allows us to do larger projects. We've talked to commercial uses that we think are desirable, such as grocery stores, pet supply stores, hardware stores, that they cannot go on this property because of the neighborhood business zoning today. So our request is simply to allow more flexible uses on the property, and happy to answer any questions.
Planning board or commissioners, any questions for the applicant? Okay. All right, I will open the public hearing for ZMA 780, and having no one signed up to speak, I will close the public hearing for ZMA 780.
Good evening, Commissioners and Planning Board members. The last legislative case on the agenda for this evening is UDO Proposed Amendment 2026-1. This is a consolidation of Article 2.2.1 and 2.5.1, the base district land use table, as well as the East Lincoln Development District overlay table. When a member of the development community or a member of staff has to classify a use into a zoning district, they have to utilize both of these tables and flip back and forth constantly. And so this is an effort to consolidate those into one table, make it more user-friendly, not only for staff, but also for the development community, including real estate agents, engineers, architects, and so forth. In addition to this consolidation, Mr. Bryant, our Development Services Director, had provided you all with a presentation last fall that pertained to special uses and addressing some of those that were, for lack of a better term, more of a rubber stamp because they belong in the district that they are in, such as industrial uses that are already in an industrial district and just maybe happen to be in the overlay district or in an industrial park that requires special use. So we've had the planning board take a look at that. Staff has proposed several changes, nothing majorly earth-shattering, but just some things that align better with the zoning districts and some things that will take some of the workload off of the commissioner's plate that are things that are germane to those districts and are more rudimentary for those districts. And so with that, you have a copy of staff's statement stating that this is consistent with our future land use plan and other adopted plans and policies in the county, our application for the amendment, as well as an excerpt that shows the actual changes. And I'll be glad to answer any questions that you or the planning board has at this time.
Any questions for Josh from the planning board or commissioners? All right, then I will open the public hearing for UDO 2026-1. And having no one signed up to speak, I will close the public hearing for UDO 2026-1. And at this time, the planning board will recess to meet in the Vesuvius Conference Room on the 3rd floor. And if you would like to follow them to hear their deliberations, you're welcome to. And we're going to take a 5 to 10 minute break. We're in recess. Y'all ready? Okay, we are back in session, and we are on TIA Appeal 2026-1.
The applicant in this case, EJG Ventures LLC, is appealing the denial of a traffic impact analysis for a proposed retail development located at southwestern corner of Highway 73 and South Little Egypt Road in Catawba Springs Township. That traffic impact analysis did not demonstrate compliance with the level of service standards laid out in the Lincoln County Unified Development Ordinance. Our Director of Development Services, Andrew Bryant, issued the determination, and I'm going to ask him to explain his determination and answer any questions you have for him.
Good evening, members of the board. My full determination is included in your packet. I'll try to summarize it as best as possible, and this is the next page in the packet for IT staff. In my review and determination on the compliance of this traffic impact analysis with the standards established in the UDO, I determined that it was not compliant and that the scenario number 2, which was identified by the applicant and NCDOT as the only viable path towards improvements, that it does not maintain the no-build level of service for the project. The Lincoln County Unified Development Ordinance in section 9.8 sets the standards that Jeremiah outlined briefly a moment ago. The traffic impact analysis scenario that was provided did not recommend improvements that were sufficient to maintain that no-build level of service. While scenario 2 does see moderate improvements in delay from the build condition with no improvements, the applicant is proposing an improvement to the intersection of NC 73 and Little Egypt Road that would add dual southbound left turn lanes and an additional receiving lane that would taper back down to one lane after approximately 500 feet. The dual southbound left turn lanes were analyzed with 250 feet of storage. Based on not meeting the level of service standards, this TIA was denied. In addition to the options that the applicant has, they have the right to appeal this decision subject to the provisions of section 9.8.10, and this is in your hands to hear that appeal. The applicant has met with the residents in the Trilogy community about the project as a whole, but I want to remind the commissioners that this hearing is not about the larger rezoning. It is simply about the TIA appeal and the determination that has been made. The applicant is here along with his traffic engineers, and they are prepared to present the information on the improvements that they do intend to make at NC 73 and Little Egypt Road, and all the efforts that they have gone through to get to this point. But before they get up here, does the board have any questions for me regarding this denial?
Have you looked at the things that they're going to present to us so far?
As far as the improvements they intend to make?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And you're still wanting to deny?
So the denial of the traffic impact analysis is a technical denial that they did not meet the standards set in the UDO. I will acknowledge that they are making improvements. Those improvements largely align with the recommendations of the Eastern Lincoln Mobility Study that was finalized in 2021. That those improvements they align with kind of the impact of this development, and that the intersection and the deficiencies that it suffer are much greater than one project or a series of private projects could improve. To make the improvements necessary, it would take a linear widening project extending from NC 16 to roughly Anderson Creek to do that. So again, we will acknowledge that the developer is making strides to improve that intersection. They just can't meet the technical limitations of the ordinance.
Thank you, Andrew.
Okay, any further questions for Andrew? All right. Is the applicant here?
Before the applicant comes and testifies, I just wanted to make one point here of order. So I know the board doesn't commonly hear these requests, so I just want to go over the required findings that the board must make before approving or denying this request. And so there are two findings that the board is charged with finding in this appeal hearing. One is whether the applicant has satisfactorily mitigated adverse traffic impacts for their project, or that the additional traffic from the project has an insignificant impact on the county roads. That's finding number one. And then finding number two is that the requested variance from the TIA standards is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance, such that public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved. So I just wanted to run through those real quick before the board hears testimony from the applicants and anyone else who speaks as you're considering the evidence that's presented. So,
I will now open the public hearing for TIA Appeal 2026-1. Is the applicant here?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, good evening. My name is Rob Brown. I live at 3978 Lake Shore Road South, and that's in Denver, down in the Westport community in the eastern part of Lincoln County. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. If you could please pull up the PowerPoint and put to slide 1, please, which is EJG Ventures. That's Eric Gibson, who's here with me tonight. Also our traffic engineers, DRMP, and we have Darren Capers and John Schick, who will be doing the primary presentation. I'm not qualified to testify in an expert hearing like this, but we do have the experts here, and I'll turn it over to them in just a minute. Did want to make a couple of high-level comments. Andrew pretty much took away my preliminary comments, and I appreciate him doing that. This 12-acre parcel in question is outside this Che Homes Trilogy project, and you folks may recall back in 2014 when that project was approved by the county commissioners. The intent was that this commercial site would be developed at some point for commercial and retail use, including having connectivity with the Trilogy subdivision, and that was part of that approval. There's also recorded declaration and restrictive covenants on this property that was recorded in 2016, and then there was an amendment done in 2022. That regulates specific uses, aesthetics, buffers, berms, et cetera, and all those things will be details that we'll get into at a later time if the board approves this denial of the TIA appeal, because we'll be back before the board at some time with a planned development commercial project on this site with more details in there. Additionally, I would mention this developer intends to, again, if this is approved tonight, that there would apply for the transportation fund policy, the recent policy that the board approved. So this will be a collaborative effort of funding for this project. And lastly, Ms. Gilbert, my client did prepare the findings of fact, and we would ask that those be incorporated into the record. So at this time, I'll turn it over to either Eric or John. To John?
Good evening, everyone. My name is John Schick. I'm with DRMP. I'm joined by my colleague here tonight, Darren Capers, and we prepared the traffic impact analysis. If you could flip to the next slide. Thank you. As shown on the screen here is a copy of the preliminary site plan. This was used for the TIA preparation. I'm not going to go through this in a ton of detail, but just for orientation, in the upper right-hand corner would be Highway 73, which runs along the top of the page. Little Egypt Road runs down the right side. You can see we're proposing a mixed commercial neighborhood-oriented center. The listed uses are included there in the little chart showing what was included in the TIA. And then you can see the access points shown as well. So there's two right in, right out access points along Highway 73, and then one full movement access point on Little Egypt Road across from the bank driveway. Next slide, please. So as mentioned, a traffic impact analysis was prepared. The study was scoped with both Lincoln County and NCDOT. So scoping coordination is held where we figure out the parameters of the study that will be included, including the intersections that get evaluated, along with the conditions that we'll look at. So a couple just important things to call out here. The study looked at a total of 6 off-site intersections, along with the site driveways. You can see there the conditions that the study evaluated. So we looked at the existing conditions. Those are the conditions that are out there today based on turning movement counts. And then we also looked at future conditions, both with and without the proposed project. And then there's another condition at the very end, which is our future build conditions, along with improvements recommended by the TIA. So the TIA was reviewed by both agencies, NCDOT and Lincoln County. NCDOT approved the study and agreed with the findings of the study, which are listed there. So one of the mitigation measures was the extension of the westbound left turn lane on Highway 73 to go down Little Egypt Road to 300 feet of storage, which would be about 12 vehicles or so within that storage capacity, along with the restriping of the northbound approach. So if you're out there today, you come up to the signal and left turns and through movements are contained in one lane and right turns are contained in the second lane. What this would do is it would have a separate left turn lane and then a through right lane, and that would better match the geometry on the southbound approach. Which would allow you to have the left turn arrows where the left turns can go, and then the through movements go after that on the side streets. And then the final improvement that the study identified were separate right turn lanes turning into all 3 site driveways. As you all know, Lincoln County has a higher mitigation threshold for intersection performance. So we had to really hone in on the Highway 73 and Little Egypt Road intersection to look at some additional mitigation options, just given the impacts at that location. So on the right side is a level of service table. There's a lot of letters and numbers there that I'm happy to explain if there's questions. But really the overall goal here was to figure out how can we improve the intersection and help offset our site's impacts. So as you can see, we had some conversations with Lincoln County staff, and really we landed on the approach of widening the southbound approach of the intersection to include dual 2 southbound left turn lanes, along with the additional receiving lane going eastbound on Highway 73 for the 2 left turn lanes coming down. So the additional improvements requested, it does improve operations at the intersection. However, it does not quite get it back to the county's level of service standards. So given that, we're here tonight, requesting relief from the requirements. I find these exhibits are a little bit easier just to understand what's being proposed. So the orange is the existing pavement that we've added just for an overlay. This first exhibit really highlights the recommendations of the TIA along with the NCDOT recommendations. So as I mentioned previously, we would extend the westbound left turn lane coming on 73 to go down Little Egypt Road, along with restriping the northbound approach, which would include a left turn lane and then a shared through and right lane. And that would match the geometry of the southbound approach. Next slide. Thank you. So as I said, we had some additional coordination with the county to figure out what options existed that we could do out here to improve intersection operations. And there really seemed to be a lot of emphasis around the southbound approach and adding capacity to that approach for folks coming down Little Egypt Road and destined to go east on 73 to get over to 16. So you can see there the dual southbound left turn lanes were added. And then that actually pushes all the lanes over a little bit. So you have dual southbound left turns, and then you have a through right lane. And then you can see on 73, that yellow on the south side shows the proposed widening that would pick up the dual southbound left turn lanes to handle the left turning traffic. And then eventually it would taper back down to a single lane. As mentioned, we did have a community meeting with the Trilogy neighborhood, and we heard a lot of great feedback at that meeting, and I think the applicant has been very responsive. So in addition to the NCDOT county improvements, we have also added, and we'll work through design on these elements, but we've added an additional northbound right turn lane. So now coming up to the intersection, there's 3 lanes, a separate left, a through, and a right turn lane. And then there was also a lot of questions around pedestrians potentially crossing the intersection between the high school and then the proposed commercial center. So the applicant, through design, has committed to working with staff on putting in a marked crosswalk with pedestrian heads and everything, along with the connected sidewalks that would be constructed along our entire site frontage. The last thing I wanted to note was we added, I think it was mentioned previously, really to improve this corridor, it's going to take a major NCDOT level widening STIP project. So the red lines that are shown there on the outside, I know it's kind of hard to see, but that would be the potential right-of-way that would eventually be needed for that 4-lane potential median divided section out there. So it just gives you a sense of the scale of what ultimately would probably occur out there to really solve long-term for the traffic in this area. So in conclusion, I think this exhibit kind of summarizes it great. We've committed to the NCDOT improvements. We've added in the county requested improvements for the additional capacity coming down Little Egypt Road. And then we've also added in some of the community requested improvements, including the widening of the northbound approach and then having pedestrian facilities out there. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
So what would it take to make it a C or B or whatever instead of, what would it take to be in compliance with the UDO?
So to be in compliance with the UDO, you would likely need additional through capacity on 73. So you would really need probably 2 through lanes in each direction, similar to what the cross section looks like further to the east, closer to 16.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So after the applicant, first we have signed up to speak is Eric Gibson.
I'm the developer, and I'll just be reiterate everything that you said, so I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you.
All right, then next we have George Arena.
Good evening, thank you. George Arena, I live at 6081 Pier Drive in Trilogy. I'm also a board member of Trilogy, and we did predetermined that I have standing even though I did not receive a letter. I have several people here from Trilogy that did receive letters, and they've asked us to speak for them. Because I'm a former commissioner, former planning board member, and on the board of Trilogy, when the letters came out, they asked us to get together, and we worked with a retired traffic engineer, Gary Garlow, who's also a former planning board member back in the day when we were here. And we took a look at this. And I commend the developer. He's done a lot. He's worked with us. He's talked about it. But it just doesn't fit. You're going to see through this report that there's a significant amount of traffic that he's adding to this intersection at Little Egypt and 73, and he just can't mitigate that. And I commend the planning staff for following the UDO. You have not had but one other appeal in the UDO in over 20 years, and that was for different circumstances. So the UDO is working, and I think we should stick with it. The applicant had a right to use the old to use the old traffic study. It was 2 years old. It's within their bounds, but there's some deficiencies in there, and I want to point them out to you. If you looked at that traffic study, you would not know that there was East Lincoln High School across the street. There is nothing done with peak traffic relative to the safety aspects of dismissal at 3 o'clock and what it does to that intersection. Now, they are adding 2 turn lanes, and they are adding a sidewalk, but in fact, that sidewalk, while it's going to help cross traffic for students, is going to make this intersection even worse when you look at the data. So I'm going to talk about that. They're putting 2 right-in, right-out turns on 73. Because there's no data from the schools, we don't know how they line up with the school entrances and exits that are on 73. I don't know why there's 2 instead of 1. And those exits from school, if you watch the school people exit, the students exit, those driveways are at a steep incline coming up to 73. So they try to go left, they try to go right. Most of the time, they'll take traffic on Little Egypt and come out to where the 2 traffic lanes are going to be. But those students that try to get out on 73, if those driveways are going to be across the street, they're going to get even more confused. Let's talk about growth. That traffic study estimated 2% per year growth in this area. Since that traffic study's been done, Trilogy alone has added 179 houses and has completed their build-out. That's 15% growth in Trilogy just in the last 2 years. You've seen 118 houses come up on this agenda tonight. You've got a major subdivision up on North Little Egypt, and you've got Iron Gate coming at you from Old Plank and 73. And each one of these does we do a traffic study here, we do a traffic study there, we do a traffic study there. You don't pool them all together. So, thank you. So 2% is not going to cut it in terms of that. Now, let's talk about the main issue here is 73 coming west at afternoon peak. And to talk about how significant this development is, we've pulled out a couple of data points for you from the study. 73 tends to back up at peak afternoons. It can back up all the way to 16 bypass. The other day when I was coming through, it was backed up past both 16 bypass exits to the Walmart, almost to the Walmart exit. This development alone adds 392 total peak trips into the development during afternoon rush hour. Just to give you an understanding of that, the current study estimates 819 peak trips in 2025, growing to 835 in 2025. So he's adding 392 onto a peak of 835. Now, some of his traffic's coming in from the east, some of it's coming from the west. Howsoever, everything that comes back out of his development, going whether it's east or west, is going to come out on Little Egypt and is going to take a time on that left turn signal to go back west. So if somebody's coming off 16, 73, they're going to want to turn into development. Some portion of that 392 are going to do that. Then they're going to come back out and they're going to trip the signal to go left again. So they're going to slow down even more the rest of the 800 cars that are waiting in line on 73. So there's just no way that you can mitigate that situation. This development's just going to take up too much traffic. And one of your conditions was, does he impact a significant amount of traffic? He does. Unfortunately, I mean, it's a nice development. He's worked with us. He's tried to do it, but he just can't fit it in. So let's look at what those road improvements do. They don't do anything to alleviate the backup on 73. As he said, that's going to take another right, another straight out left, another straight lane going west, another straight lane going east. Just so you understand what the distance of that backup is, on page 35 of the study, it says, during weekday peak hours, traffic westbound queues are expected to exceed 2,125 feet under 2025 build conditions. That's 0.4 of a mile. And on page 37, it says, long queues exceeding 3,980 feet are expected on the westbound approach during, it says AM peak, but I believe that's PM peak. I believe that's a typo.
George,
that's 0.75 of a mile.
Can we get you a little closer to the microphone?
Yes, sir.
I'm struggling to hear you.
I know the echo is confusing me here. The other thing to understand is there is a subdivision called Hunter's Bluff off 73. And if you look at how it comes into the system, it's about a third of the way up going west on 73 from the 16 bypass. It exits with a couple of turns onto Little Egypt. What's happening now is the people coming into Trilogy, when they see this backup all the way to 16, if they get to Hunter's Bluff, they're cutting through. And he's going to have more people cutting through because the people going into commercial development aren't going to put up with a 3/4 mile backlog either. So they're going to cut through. And poor Hunter's Bluff, who doesn't know anything about this because they don't get your letters because of the distance requirements that are delivered to people from the commission that's going to impact, they're just going to see an inundation of traffic cutting through their intersection. So it's going to be significant. So like I say, unfortunately, it just doesn't fit. What we're kind of asking the commission to do, and I've been in your shoes, and Alex knows this, you've got all these developments, and each one of them adds impact to the road. You can do a traffic study as Lincoln County. You can ask this thing's really difficult. You can ask each of the developers to join in your traffic study. You can pick the parameters of that traffic study, and then you can make sure all of this works together. The other thing is that there is this unfunded STIP that widens 73 from Highway 16 bypass to Ingleside Farm Road. You can make sure that any of these improvements are done with the right-of-way, that they plan for and allow for placing their water, placing their sewers, placing their right-in, right-outs, consistent with what's going to happen with that STIP gets funded eventually. So we come to the point of whether you should go back against the recommendation of the planning staff and allow this appeal. You can see it. There's a significant amount of traffic that this subdivision, that this commercial division is generating. It's 300, almost 300 trips in afternoon peak hour out of 800 current trips that are there. So it's significant. And the fact that he can't mitigate that, he's tried, but he just can't do it. We can't afford to have that traffic deal with what is going to happen. So we would ask you two things. One is think about how you can take this major intersection and do a comprehensive study going forward, how you can control it, how you can control these developers, and control what they put down as parameters. The fact that there's no school data in this thing is a major safety issue. And you put this commercial development across the street with a supermarket and a convenience site, what do you think those kids are going to do when they have a free period? They're not going to go to the corner, and they're not going to wait for that traffic light. They're going to watch traffic, and they're going to zip across. We've all been 16 and 17, and they got 30 minutes or 40 minutes. They're going to go in there, and they're going to try to go across the street, and we're going to have a problem. We're going to have an accident, and it's going to be bad. So I would ask you to uphold what your courageous planning department has done, and these guys need to work on this. Maybe wait till the STIP comes through, maybe change the traffic levels at their development, or maybe work with you so that comprehensively all these developments coming back on 73 can work together and get this thing straightened out. Because otherwise, you're going to have 3/4 of a mile back up, and you're going to have a major safety situation at the school. And not to mention, I didn't even bring in Catawba Springs Elementary as also exiting at whatever time they exit in the afternoon. So that's something that's not been brought into this either. So, okay. Any questions? All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Next, we have signed up to speak Mark Embersold, if I pronounce that right.
I'm Mark Ebersold. I live at 5026 Looking Glass Trail in Trilogy. I don't have a lot of numbers to spout off that George does, but I'm a proponent of the retail center. I think it's a good addition to the area. I've lived in Denver 12 years, Trilogy 6 years. I am disappointed, frankly, in the number of developments that have been approved and built within 2, 3, 4 miles of this intersection without any improvements made to the intersection. I think there probably could have been some way to escrow money into an escrow fund to work on the intersection at some point. It's obviously a very important intersection for that whole area. While this development is not going to fix this intersection and make it perfect, it's going to make it a lot better than it currently is. Denver is in need, in my opinion, of some nice retail, particularly on the west side of Highway 16. I guess that's about all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Tom. Yes.
I'm going to stay. Thank you.
Okay.
George covered it. Thank you.
All right, with having no one else signed up to speak, I will close the public hearing for TIA Appeal 2026-1. And at this time, based on the evidence presented, I will entertain a motion to adopt the findings of fact.
Mr. Chairman, based on the findings of fact, the applicant has failed to satisfy, the applicant has failed to satisfactorily mitigate adverse traffic impacts of their project, and the additional traffic from this project has significant impact on the county roads.
Okay, that's in the form of a motion. Any further discussion?
I'd just like to add, just for the record, it's not county roads. I would say this is going to impact state roads.
State
as
roads.
we've
I got
so
you.
eloquently said that we don't build roads, so we don't own roads.
Gotcha.
All right, so any further discussion besides changing county roads and state roads? You agree with that?
Yeah, sure, of course.
All right.
I should have known better.
All right, so all in favor of Bud's motion or Commissioner Cecina's motion indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Based on the findings of fact, I'll entertain a motion to uphold the decision of the Development Service Director for denial of the traffic impact analysis as submitted by the applicant.
So moved, sir.
All right. We'll have a motion by Commissioner Cecina. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. It is, the decision from Andrew is upheld. And now we'll move on to SUP 533.
The applicant in this next case, special use permit number 533, Jessica Moriarty, is requesting a special use permit for a dog boarding facility in the Industrial General District. This request involves a 2.5 acre site located on the south side of Balsam Ridge Road, about 1,800 feet east of NC 16 Business Highway in Catawba Springs Township. The adjoining parcels are zoned industrial general, and properties in this area are used for industrial, business, and residential purposes. This property is located within an area designated by the land use plan as an industrial center suitable for manufacturing, warehousing, and distribution uses. This parcel is located in an industrial park that's located within the WS4 protected area for the Catawba River Lake Norman Water Supply watershed. A high-density option permit was approved for this Balsam Ridge Business Park in 2006, and stormwater ponds were constructed in accordance with the required design standards in the zoning ordinance at that time to control the runoff from each lot within this business park including this parcel. So those ponds have been installed, they've been certified, and the county is holding maintenance bond as required by the ordinance for those stormwater control measures. You have the applicant's proposed site plan as well as their proposed findings of fact in your packet. I'll allow the applicant to explain a lot in as much detail as she desires about what her vision is with this site plan, but you have a structure for the boarding facility, the offices, et cetera, and then there are also some outdoor play areas for the dogs, but beyond that, I'll allow the applicant to elaborate, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have for me.
Any commissioner have any questions for Jeremiah? Okay. Then I'll open the public hearing for SUP 533. Is the applicant here? Okay.
Hi, everybody. Really glad I'm not putting in a subdivision. So we are looking to put in a doggy daycare and boarding. Closer.
If you
Pardon
could
me?
give us your name and address.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Jessica Moriarty, 6370 Willow Farm Drive in Denver. So we're looking to put in a high-end luxury doggy daycare and boarding facility over at Balsam Ridge Industrial Park, 8,000 square foot building on a 2.5 acre lot. In the front of the lot, and I have the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. David Ledford, for any type of setbacks and ordinance and making sure that I've done everything properly. So I'm going to just talk more on the vision. So I say high-end and luxury. This is not your mom and pop's dog park. We are a structured and controlled environment that is staff managed to make sure that dogs have a crate and rotate type environment. What does that mean? They're not going to be outside all day. They're not going to be in a crate all day. They will be rotated throughout each environment. What's the environment? They're going to have enrichments developed throughout the day. So a tired dog is a very happy dog, and so are the people that work there, because the last thing that staff want to deal with is a barking dog all day. We have a very low tolerance for barking. No one wants to listen to it, and it's not good for the dog. Low stimulation. Enrichments is the biggest thing. What does that mean again? So we're going to have walking trails inside, making sure that they have games to play, that they are looking for treats, looking for things to do within an environment. There's going to be sniff stations. So I don't want to get too much into the details of that. As far as the location goes, we're in the industrial park with, how would you describe, like truck driver, like race car facilities, fire engine repair. So the environment that it's in is very conclusive to the doggy daycare and boarding facility. Any questions from the kind of the oversight of our vision? I didn't want to go too much into it.
Any questions for the applicant from the board?
David, you can have a portico up front, so when you let your dogs out, when you get out of the car, you don't get drenched in the rain.
Absolutely. There will be a vestibule and an overhang in the front.
Okay,
Yep.
because kind of like dry pond. It's a great way to do that building over there.
That's exactly what we're going to do.
Okay.
Yep, very similar. David, do you want to talk to the building?
David Ledford, 2730 Maiden Highway in Lincoln. I just wanted to add that the site plan complies with all the UDO requirements and also any of the future use plans and that sort of thing. So basically the site plan is covered underneath the UDO and the county ordinances. The other item is, I did prepare the findings of fact and would like to submit those as part of evidence for this project. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any additional questions for the applicant's team?
Okay, thank you.
All right. With no one else signed up to speak, I will close the public hearing, and I'll entertain a motion to approve the findings of fact as submitted by the applicant.
So moved.
All right, motion by Commissioner Carpenter. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. I'll entertain a motion to approve SUP 533.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Carpenter. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. It is passed.
That was easy work.
All right, now we'll move on to PA 66 and SR 90.
So the applicant in these two cases, preliminary plat approval number 66, and subdivision waiver SR number 90, Troy Motts is requesting the approval of a preliminary plat for residential subdivision with up to 27 lots for single-family homes. The proposed site plan shows a network of new roads within the subdivision with one point of vehicular access to Lelawing Road. This 32-acre site is located on the east side of Lelawing Road, about 1,000 feet south of NC Highway 150 in the Ironton Township. The property is zoned residential suburban, and it's adjoined by properties zoned neighborhood business, general business, and residential suburban, and residential single family. Properties in this area are used for business, residential, and civic purposes, and this area is designated by the land use plan as a suburban commercial center suitable for a variety of commercial uses to serve the needs of the surrounding neighborhoods. The applicant is proposing to serve the lots in the subdivision with individual wells and septic systems on each of those 27 lots. The proposed plan complies with the UDO standards for external access, internal road connectivity, internal sidewalks, and street trees. With his request, the applicant has submitted a request for a subdivision waiver, SR number 90, being that case number. That's a request for a waiver from the subdivision standard that requires subdivisions located within 1/4 mile of a school to construct connecting pedestrian infrastructure in the form of a sidewalk or some other pedestrian connection between the subdivision and the school. You have the applicant's proposed findings of fact for both the preliminary plat as well as the subdivision waiver. And then you have the applicant's proposed preliminary plat showing the layout of the subdivision with the roads, the lots, and the context around the subdivision. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you have for me.
Can y'all pull the plat up on the? It's that.
I believe that'll be page 11.
I got it, Jamie.
All right. So with the public hearing open, is there any questions for Jeremiah? All right. If the applicant's here to add anything? Troy Motts?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I'm Troy Motts. I live at 4300 Jim Wise Road, Lincoln, North Carolina. I didn't have anything prepared, but I'm here for if you got any questions.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant?
Troy, did you prepare the proposed findings of facts that were submitted with your application?
Talking to Travis Jordan about the crosswalk, the mid-block crosswalk on Lelawing Road, he's not in favor of it. And like I say, I don't think it's a good idea. I mean, I think it's a safety issue as far as having people crossing Lelawing Road.
So did you prepare those in consultation with Travis?
I did.
And do you wish to incorporate those as part of your evidence?
Well, I think Andrew was supposed to have it, but he talked to Travis, and they corresponded back and forth with email.
So do you want to incorporate that as part of your testimony?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant from the board? All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Having no one else signed up to speak, then I will close the public hearing for PA 66 and SR 90. I'll entertain a motion to approve the findings of facts for SR number 90.
So moved.
All right, motion by Commissioner Patton. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve SR 90 based on the adopted findings of facts.
So moved.
All right, motion by Commissioner Patton. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, it is approved. And then I'll entertain a motion to approve SR 90 and also approve a motion to the findings of facts for PA 66.
So moved.
All right, motion by Commissioner Patton. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All right, opposed? All right, I'll entertain a motion to pass PA 66 based on the adopted findings of facts.
So moved.
All right, motion by Commissioner Carpenter. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, it is passed. Both of them are passed. Now we'll go on to, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing for PA 66 or 67 and SR 91.
The public hearing for this next set of requests, plat approval number 67 and subdivision relief or subdivision waiver number 91. Stephen and Elizabeth Brotherton are the applicants in this case, these cases, and they're requesting the approval of a preliminary plat for a residential subdivision with up to 20 lots for single-family homes. The proposed site plan shows a network of new roads within the subdivision with one point of vehicular access to NC Highway 73, and the applicant is proposing to extend public water to serve the lots within this subdivision. The 18.4-acre site is located on the south side of Highway 73 at the intersection with Schrantz Road and Catawba Springs Township. That subject property is zoned transitional residential, and it's adjoined by property zoned transitional residential. Properties in this area are used for residential and civic purposes, and this area is designated by the land use plan as large lot residential, suitable for single-family homes at densities up to 1.35 units per acre. The proposed density of this residential subdivision is below that 1.35 units per acre. As I already stated, the applicant intends to serve this development with public water, subject to review and approval of fully designed plans by the Lincoln County Public Utility Division. And this proposed plan complies with the UDO subdivision standards for external access, internal sidewalks, and street trees. The applicant has submitted a concurrent request for a waiver from the subdivision standards in the UDO to allow for a connectivity ratio less than 1.4 for this new subdivision. You have the applicant's proposed findings of fact for that subdivision waiver, as well as their proposed findings of fact for the preliminary plat. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you have for me with regards to the waiver request or the preliminary plat.
Any commissioner have any questions for Jeremiah? No. All right. Call the applicant, Stephen.
Hey there, good evening. I'm Stephen Brotherton, 8494 Pine Lake Road, Denver, North Carolina. My wife and I have been longtime Lincoln County residents, and our plan here is to partner with a local Lincoln County builder to propose a nice neighborhood. And as Jeremiah stated, everything meets all the requirements for the land use, the zoning, and the UDO. The one thing we are looking for is the waiver on the connectivity piece. I think the 1.4 required, ours ended up at 1.0, and that was really due to topography issues, and David can speak more on that. He prepared the fact of findings for me. But to the west is a county-owned property, and to the east is an estate property, so it just didn't make sense. Plus, we try to minimize our environmental impacts.
Good evening, Commissioners. Again, David Ledford, 2730 Maiden Highway. The main reason for asking for the variance for the ratio is connectivity ratio is because of the fact of the impacts to the natural resources. There is a spring head on the property. With typical subdivision design and layout, you usually put those types of areas on the rear of lots, not having to cross them with pipes and roads and that sort of thing. And with the connectivity part, there is ways to meet that requirement, but it would be at an impact type situation to these types of areas. We're just asking for that waiver so that the design could be like standard subdivision design and good design with low impacts, with the number of lots, with the availability of the number of lots that can be used on that particular property. If you got any questions, I'll be happy to answer them, and I would like to add those findings of fact to the record.
So are you asking for both? I guess this is one parcel, and both sides are on 73, is that correct?
It's one parcel. We're only developing the 18.4 acres on the south side.
Okay. Any additional questions? All right. With having no one else signed up to speak, I will close the public hearing, and I'll entertain a motion to adopt the findings of facts for SR number 91.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Carpenter. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Entertain a motion to approve SR 91 based on the adopted findings.
So moved.
All right, motion by Commissioner Carpenter. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. SR 91 is approved, and then I'll entertain a motion to approve the findings of facts for PA 67.
So moved.
All right, motion by Commissioner Carpenter. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve PA 67.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Carpenter. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, they are approved. Thank you. And we'll move on to PA 68 and SR 92, and I'll open the public hearing.
All right, this last set of requests I have for you this evening, PA 68 and SR 92. These requests are from Ballard Oaks LLC. This is a request for a preliminary plat for a residential subdivision with up to 40 lots for single-family homes. This is a little bit different from what you might be used to seeing. This is a conservation subdivision, which does not require rezoning because it's less than 50 lots. But in order to take advantage of the flexibility in the lot dimensional standards, smaller lots, cluster the homes together, than a conventional subdivision, the applicant is required to set aside 50% of the project area as undeveloped open space. And so as you look at the preliminary plat that the applicant has submitted, you'll note there that they call out they're preserving half of the project area as undeveloped open space. The proposed preliminary plat shows a network of new subdivision roads with 2 points of vehicular access, one on Ballard Road and one on Highway 73. The applicant is proposing to extend public water and to serve the lots in the subdivision with an on-site community septic system. I'll allow them to elaborate in more detail if they wish about the proposed community system there. This 40.9 acre site is located on the south side of Ballard Road, about 900 feet southeast of the intersection with Beth Haven Church Road and NC 73. The property is zoned transitional residential, and it's adjoined by properties zoned transitional residential. Properties in this area are primarily used for residential and civic purposes, although there is one professional office nearby on Nolan Acres Lane. The land use plan designates this area as large lot residential, suitable for single-family homes at densities up to 1.35 units per acre. This subdivision comes in at a density below 1.35 units per acre. The preliminary plat also demonstrates compliance with the UDO subdivision standards for external access, internal sidewalks, street trees, and the UDO's conservation subdivision standards for a Class C vegetative buffer around the perimeter of the project, along those project boundaries, and the dedication of 50% common open space, as I alluded to earlier. The applicant has submitted a concurrent request for a subdivision waiver or a waiver from the subdivision standards, again, for the connectivity ratio, and that's that ratio of links to nodes with the internal road network within this subdivision. You have the applicant's proposed finding of fact for that subdivision waiver, as well as their proposed findings of fact for the preliminary plat. And I will be happy to answer any questions you have for me.
Jeremiah, do they, or do you know of any, for this proposed septic field area, what kind of septic field that's going to be, or who's going to maintain that, or anything of that nature?
So my understanding from the applicant is that they intend for this to be a community spray field system, a surface spray system, but I'll allow them to elaborate on that. Typically, these community systems are not public utilities. They're not going to be maintained by Lincoln County Public Utilities. Typically, applicants would contract with a provider. There's one very large one in North Carolina, Aqua. They maintain a lot of these systems. I don't know if that's who the applicant intends to contract with, but again, I think that would be a good question for the applicant to answer.
Okay. Any additional questions for Jeremiah? All right. First on the list to speak is Gary.
Hello, I'm Gary McConnell with McConnell and Associates. We represent Ballard Oaks LLC, and Julie Lowe is the representative for Ballard Oaks. If you could put up the site plan, I think that might be helpful. Appreciate it, Jeremiah. You did a good job. If we can just zoom in on that to get the whole picture. Okay, this is a conservation development, and I'd like to explain a little bit about that. What it does, we do a lot of these, and we're proud of the fact of what it does. It's environmental friendly for a couple of reasons. We have a large open space, and we condense the homes. Therefore, we have disturb less area, and we provide a lot of habitat for wildlife. This is something that Julie really wanted us to do. In doing this development, a couple of things with the traffic, we provided turning lanes as the DOT required or asked for, and also we have another connection. So there's two connections accessed from this development. I'd like to touch on the type of septic system. Septic field probably isn't probably the correct word. You know, typical septic systems like a septic tank and a drain field. Rather than having 40 different sites with septic systems that can fail or cause problems, what we've done is we're doing a lot of these developments throughout the state now and even other states where what we do is we'll have a treatment system. The treatment system will essentially treat the treated wastewater to basically almost reuse quality water. This technology we use has been is certified for reuse quality water, and it's not going to be actually a spray system. It's going to be a drip field below about 6-8 inches below the ground. If you look at the water that comes out of the treatment system, it basically looks almost like clear water, like mountain. I tell people it looks like mountain water. So it's not what comes out of a septic tank. We just knock out the solids and separate the grease. So it's a very environmental friendly solution. It allows for extra wildlife habitat, reduces also the potential for, 40 septic systems out there. So it's really not a septic field. It's basically a dispersal, a drain field with highly treated effluent. Any questions or?
You stated you will hold 50% for wildlife and other areas, but just looking at the aerial photo and then looking at your site plan, from where that power line right away comes through, I believe that's what it is. That's where your septic field is pretty much, you're considering all that as open area, correct?
Yeah, to the west, a lot of that, all the drain field, the treatment area is.
So I guess my question with that is, do you not have to clear all those trees to put that septic field in? So you're defeating the purpose of what a conservation area is?
When we do these fields, they can be, there's two ways you can do them. You can either clear the trees or you can put it within the wooded area. We do them both ways.
I'm not saying it can't be done, but I've never seen that done. I've never seen a septic field put in under trees.
I'll be happy to take you to one if you like.
So
I can take you to several. The advantage with the drip irrigation is it's about 6 to 8 inches in the ground, the drip tubing, okay? It has pressure compensating emitters, which means it spreads out the treated effluent equally throughout the field. By being 6 to 8 inches in the ground, it's within the root zone. So any vegetation, whether it be trees, grass, whatever, it can take up that water. Any water that isn't taken up by vegetation can percolate into the ground and recharge the groundwater.
So I have a question. Who or how are you going to make sure that this, because this sounds like it may be a complicated system, God, in the future, who's going to be responsible to take care of it and maintain it after y'all leave out or whoever? Is there going to be like an HOA, or is there going to be a covenants, or what to the deeds?
Very good question. I meant to speak about that as well. Typically, what we prefer is sometimes HOAs will own them. We prefer, in all instances, to have private utilities. There's several throughout the state. There's a couple we're talking to about this. When they take them over, because basically they have a licensed operator to operate the system. The treatment system we actually use here, Trent, is actually, it's a very simple system, even though basically it's a septic tank And then we have a pump tank, so when the effluent comes out of the septic tank, it's recirculated over polystyrene beads, okay? The biology grows on that beads. As the water percolates through, it takes up all the pollutants. We then treat it with UV light. So we disinfect it. We actually get nutrient removal by doing nitrification, denitrification. So it's the only moving part of the whole system is pump. I could train anybody here within a half a day's work, within a couple hours, 3-4 hours, on how to operate the system. But it will have a licensed operator.
And who's responsible for the licensed operator once you're gone? I think that's the question.
It basically is permitted by the state, and the state will.
That's not the answer. The question is who's going.
Who's going to pay for the services to maintain the system?
The system will be who pays for it?
That's right. Who pays
Yeah, that'll
for
be
the?
through the HOA. That'll be for dues.
Okay, that was.
That's the question.
Okay, I misunderstood the.
And you say it's done by ultraviolet light and what else?
Okay, what we do is we remove all the pollutants, basically, essentially, to very de minimis amounts.
Speaking to the microphone, please.
Oh, we treat the water that comes out of the tanks, would then go into recirculation tanks. It's sprayed out over a mist, over polystyrene beads. Instead of being like a wastewater package plant, a big treatment facility, the biology, the bacteria eat up those pollutants. As it goes through, the water is cleaned. Once it's cleaned, it goes through UV lights. Rather than having chemicals that can, it basically, UV light disinfects the biology.
Mr. Chairman, my recommendation is that we hold this off for a month or two till we can get with Andrew and understand a little better about what this means and what it doesn't mean, because I'm already a little bit confused. I'm not terribly confused, but this is the first time we've ever seen this, and I'd like our water director to give us a little, it's not, at the next work session, if you know anything about it, let us know. If you don't, then we'll wait to the following work session. So let's put it off for at least a month, maybe two.
When we met with the preliminary meeting, we answered all those type of questions.
Try it again.
During the preliminary meeting we met with the staff.
Speak into the microphone.
During the preliminary meeting we had with the staff, we described all that information, and they were satisfied with both the permitting and the treatment, if I'm not mistaken.
The staff's not the one voting on this. We're trying to.
We don't understand. So I'm recommending, my motion is that we put it off. Let's see, this is May, June. Are we going to have a work session in July? Or are we just going to have a meeting in July? One work session or just one meeting?
Let me offer this. I'll be happy to meet with Ollie at any time you want for lunchtime seminar or whatever.
Andrew, can you explain all this a little better to us in the work session at the end of this month or June? June probably. Would June be okay? Work session in June? Okay, June. Then we do it in June, Jamie.
So let's continue this since we have a public
I got
hearing
you.
open. Let's finish the public hearing and then we can.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant?
So I have one question. Did you prepare the proposed findings of facts that were submitted with both applications for the PA number 68 and the SR number 92? Did you prepare the proposed findings of facts that were submitted with the application? They look like this.
Yes, we worked with the.
And do you wish to incorporate those as part of your testimony?
Yes.
Okay, any additional questions for the applicant? All right, so now Tiffany Horn.
Hi, my name is Tiffany Horn, and I live 214 Maxwell Farm Lane.
Tiffany,
I-
Tiffany.
Could you please speak into the microphone?
Sorry. Okay. My name is Tiffany Horn. I live on Maxwell Farm Lane in Iron Station near the proposed Ballard Oaks development. Okay, I have provided a folder for each of the commissioners and the county attorney that has the following information: a GIS map showing parcel numbers of the adjoining parcels, a map showing the parcel size of all the adjoining parcels. As you can see, all the parcels outlined on the map are larger than the lots proposed for Ballard Oaks. Number 3, information from EPA regarding septic systems and surface water. This includes information on nutrients in surface water and explains how septic systems in a small area can flow through groundwater. And I know he said that he has a treatment system. My question is, does your proposed treatment location treat PFAS? Because that's a major issue right now. Okay, number 4 in your packet, a copy of an article from the National Groundwater Association regarding groundwater quality in a rural subdivision. In this 12-year study, 16 homes were constructed on 78 acres. The result was traces found in groundwater that were consistent with septic leachate. An article from the EPA regarding nutrient contamination in groundwater, how it can be harmful even at low levels. An article from Long Island, New York, on April the 23rd, 2026, regarding blue-green algae they found that contains flesh-eating bacteria. A professor from the State University of New York states, in happy news, we know the root cause of the problem: excessive loading of nitrogen from land to sea. The major source of nitrogen is what we call on-site septic systems. Number 7, DEQ ambient groundwater quality monitoring network in North Carolina. As you can see by their map, there's no such monitoring network in Lincoln County. A planning map of the parcel that shows the lay of the land. A site plan of proposed Ballard Oaks that shows lot sizes as well as existing ditches for existing watershed areas, the existing stream below the watershed areas, and a proposed 6.6 acre of septic field above the watershed areas. The application for the subdivision waiver states the reason of the waiver is for the safety of the residents due to the unfavorable terrain. This is the watershed areas, the areas in which they're proposing to put the 6.6 acre septic field. UDO Article 2.4, Conservation Standards, letter F states as follows: public water and sewer are required unless otherwise approved by the County Health Department. Number 12, Ordinance Section 51.024, private sewer system states as follows: A1, except as otherwise provided in this section, from and after March the 18th, 1997, a direct connection to the public sewer system shall be made pursuant to this chapter for all new construction within the boundaries of the county where public sewer service is available. There's an existing public sewer line that runs down 73, in which a proposal has been made to add over 600 homes. Yet, for 40 homes with the same access to the existing line, a 6.6 acre septic field has been proposed above a watershed that goes into an unnamed creek on the plat map, which runs into Anderson Creek, that then goes into Killian Creek. Also, the residents surrounding the proposed development have primarily well water that could be contaminated. I have a 35-foot bored well. There is no water quality monitoring network in North Carolina. Who is going to monitor the septic field in the surrounding areas? And then you already asked who's responsible when it fails. Is the county going to run public water to all the homes and the surrounding residents? I encourage you to review the packet of information I provided, do your own research, and make the right decision for the existing residents around Ballard Oaks. Thank you for your time.
Next, we have Tom McKittrick. Did I say that last name right?
Commissioners, hello. My name is Tom McKittrick. I'm 560 Beth Haven Church Road. I have a 310-acre parcel that is very close proximity to this tract. What we're doing with that tract, we're not developing it. We're turning it into a true conservation tract. I've spent over $1.5 million out there on habitat restoration projects. We're planting over 90 acres in native North Carolina prairie grasses. We have created pine savannas out there, according to the North Carolina Forestry Service. They're telling us that's the only managed pine savannas in Lincoln County. We've got a whole lot more additional projects proposed out there. There's native pollinators. It's completely focused on habitat enhancement and restoration. I'm going to build one single-family home on this parcel that I plan to retire on. So with that, I'm very interested and concerned about what happens in and around this property. And I wanted just to make a couple quick points. One being just the adjoining properties. You have this subdivision adjacent to this parcel that is 1 to 3 acre tracts, and you've got quarter-acre parcels backed up. Now they're going to be their direct neighbors. To me, that is just not consistent with an area plan, and certainly I thought Lincoln County was kind of opposed to small lot subdivisions. I understand this is using what I consider basically a loophole in the UDO to create, this conservation piece to allow small lots. And again, you hit on the point earlier that you've got a 6.5 or 7 acre septic field that you're going to have to nuke all those mature trees to build. I can't see how that's got any kind of conservation principles in mind whatsoever. And lastly would be the connectivity. Connectivity is a blessing and a curse, right? From a traffic flow perspective, it's great to have connectivity, but if you live in a neighborhood and the public is using your neighborhood as a through street, that can be a disaster. And Beth Haven and 73 is, in my opinion, one of the most dangerous intersections in the county. And I have a feeling you're going to see a lot of people cutting through this road to avoid that intersection, especially if you've got to turn left on 73 heading towards Denver. This is going to be a cut through there to avoid that intersection. I think it's going to be a pretty significant problem. And last point was that previous lady made a good point. Wells down gradient of this large septic field, certainly that's got to be something that's looked into and addressed. But with that, I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Herb Haynes.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Herb Haynes, and I'm a current resident of Ballard Road. Tonight, I'm here to speak about something fundamental, my right and my neighbor's right to the peaceful enjoyment of the property that we own. That right is not abstract. It's one of the foundational rights of living in North Carolina. And in the very reason zoning and land use authority exist in the first place, to protect existing residents from incompatible developments next door to us. Tonight, I'm asking the board to honor that principle. The proposed development simply does not fit, as you've heard. Every home in the surrounding area, mine, my neighbors, and all the parcels around are defined this community, that have defined this community for decades, sit on around 1 acre of land or more. That is 1 acre of land. That is a minimum lot size. It's not a floor, it's not an average. That's what the standard should be and not the loophole. It does not mean a developer can cluster homes on quarter or third acre lots and offset them with open conservation space to average out. Every home should sit on its own acre, just like every other home around. Dropping a higher density development into the middle of 1 acre homesteads isn't infill, it's incompatible. And it sets a precedence that puts every other 1 acre neighborhood in this county at risk. The development also will fundamentally change Ballard Road. Drivers leaving the new community will have two choices: sit through the new congested intersection at 73, which we've already heard many times tonight, there's already too much traffic on 73, or cut through my neighborhood as a bypass to Beth Haven Church Road. GPS apps will automatically route traffic through our neighborhood when traffic gets congested. My road, currently a quiet residential street with no sidewalks, no shoulders, and children waiting for the school bus, will become a shortcut. The proposal adds 40 units, not to mention the non-residents cutting through to bypass the intersection of 73 and Beth Haven Church Road. This is not a peaceful enjoyment. That is a thoroughfare running through my front yard. I'm asking for three things: enforce the 1 per acre minimum as written, don't allow the loophole, require a cut-through traffic analysis with enforceable calming measures, and protect the character of a community that has already been built to this standard. Thank you very much.
Next, we have Karen Haynes. Karen Haynes.
My name is Karen Haynes. I live at 6092 Ballard Road, and I'm coming to you as a sub-teacher of the county and the traffic that I deal with daily. I actually don't go east because the traffic's so heavy. I go towards Iron Station and Lincolnton to work. And I'm here today to state my firm opposition of this development. I'm asking that this proposal be denied. The development as proposed is fundamentally incompatible with the existing character, density, and intended use of the surrounding properties. Our street and the adjacent properties consist of approximately 10 homes on 1 acre lots. This reflects an established pattern of low-density residential use. By contrast, the proposed project would introduce approximately 40 homes on quarter-acre lots. This represents a dramatic and abrupt increase in density that is entirely out of scale with the surrounding community. It fails to provide a meaningful transition that consists of core zoning principles requiring compatibility between neighboring land uses. This proposal creates a clear and foreseeable public safety risk, one that cannot be ignored. Our street is quiet, low-traffic road where children regularly ride bikes and play. As an educator in Lincoln County, I worry about the children riding their bikes in the street and a cut-through traffic speeding by buses. The introduction of a cut-through connection combined with a significantly higher density development will increase traffic volume and speed. Drivers seeking to avoid the area and congested 73 will use our neighborhood as a shortcut that will transform safe residential road into a cut-through road. With that changes increased risk of accidents involving children, pedestrians, and residents. If this board approves this development as proposed, it will be doing so in full knowledge of these risks. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, Aaron. Aaron.
Good evening. I appreciate the chance to speak with you tonight about an issue that deeply affects my family.
State your name and address, please.
Oh, I do apologize. I'm Erin Marinke, 6104 Ballard Road. I apologize. I appreciate the chance to speak with you tonight about an issue that deeply affects my family and our community. I'm here to oppose the proposed development of Ballard Oaks off Ballard Road and Highway 73, and respectfully ask that it be denied based on traffic, safety, and property impacts. Traffic along Highway 73 is already heavily congested. Traffic at Beth Haven Church Road and Tucker's Grove Church Road backs up daily, especially during peak hours, creating consistent delays and reducing safe opportunities to turn or cross. These are consistent daily conditions. For families like mine, getting to school already requires navigating this traffic, which creates real and ongoing safety concerns. Almost every morning, I feel as though I'm taking a significant risk just trying to determine when it's safe to cross, praying that I can do so without an accident. I firmly believe that it's reckless and irresponsible for the county to even consider this proposal, given the daily safety challenges that our community faces. In addition, the proposal would inevitably push even more drivers onto our street, as many would choose it a quicker way around the already congested main road, turning our quiet street where our kids play and our neighbors walk daily into a busy cut-through. What is now a safe, family-centered road would become just another high-traffic route. It would fundamentally change the character of our community. Adding 40 new homes would only compound the problem, increasing traffic volume and placing an even greater strain on infrastructure that is already stretched thin. From a property standpoint, traffic flow, safety, and accessibility are key drivers of buyer demand. Increased congestion and reduced ease of access make an area less desirable, which can place downward pressure on home values over time. In addition, differences in home price points and overall standards between new construction and the existing community can create inconsistency in the market, which can impact overall desirability and long-term property stability. Many of us have made a significant investment to build custom homes in this area based on the current conditions, including traffic levels, safety, and the overall character of the community. Those decisions were made with the expectation of stability and development that aligns with the existing community. These impacts are predictable based on current conditions. For these reasons, I respectfully ask the board to deny this proposal and prioritize safety, infrastructure capacity, and long-term property stability. Thank you for your time, and I hope you have a blessed evening.
Doug Higgins. Doug Higgins. Okay. All right. With no one else signed up to speak, I will close the public hearing, and I will go back to Commissioner Cena's motion to table this until what day?
Andrew, what are you comfortable with? Okay, June work. Sorry, we'll go to the June work section, and so we can vote on it in July, the first meeting in July. Okay.
All right, everybody understand the motion?
So just for clarification, what exactly are we wanting presented at the work session?
I want to understand about that septic system thing.
So in order to kind of get at the point Megan's making, when we talk about this in the June work session, it will be really focused on how that type of system works specifically, not how it impacts this property, not how it's installed on this project. We'll be looking at it kind of at an academic and scientific level to just give you all that base level of understanding of the chemistry and biology behind it. So
Correct.
Yes.
very much in a silo and not focused on this property. But in order for y'all to make a more educated decision in July. Okay.
So is the request that the applicant be present so they can provide their understanding of how this works, and it seems like expertise, and also the Lincoln County Health Department environmental health staff? Because the UDO does require that the health department approve on-site wastewater if there is the ability to tap onto the wastewater system.
Right, I can work with environmental health, make sure they're there, make sure some of our wastewater staff are available as well. I think it's okay that the applicant be there, to make sure we don't misstep and say something inaccurate about this system. But I do think it really should be limited to staff presenting around the function of the system in general.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. So the motion is that this be tabled until after we have our June work session, so it'll be the first meeting in July for a decision. Is that understood by everybody? All right. What's that?
It's July 20th.
All right. So we have that motion on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, it is tabled. All right, now we'll go to number 6. Adopt a reimbursement resolution. Ms. Rios.
Good evening, Commissioners.
If you want to give
Tonight,
them, Deanna,
Yes.
you want to give them about 2 minutes to get out of here. If you want to give them a few minutes so we can hear you.
wow, I can empty a room.
All right, thank you.
Tonight, we're going to, I've come to you to have you approve a reimbursement resolution for the school's financing for Rock Springs and Catawba Springs. And the resolution does say that this meeting is being held at the administration building. I will have our attorney correct that to show that it was here. And as you know, we're going to finance the second step for the schools to update the 3 schools on the first set. And then they'll do 3 more schools when these first 3 are done. I believe Rock Springs is well underway, is almost done, and they have the second one that is pretty well done with the plans and everything, and they're working on Catawba Springs. And we only wanted to do 1 more financing, so we're waiting on them to get us a little more information for Catawba Springs so we can go forward to the LGC. But this is simply a reimbursement resolution so that if we pay the schools for expenses they've incurred before the financing, we can then reimburse ourselves.
All right, anyone have any questions for Deanna? All right, I'll entertain a motion to adopt a reimbursement resolution to reimburse the county for expenditures prior to debt financing.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Carpenter. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
It is passed, thank you. All right, resolution in support of signalization of existing reduced conflict intersection of St. James Church and NC 16. Andrew.
Completely out of the blue, NCDOT contacted me and requested this resolution that y'all adopt in order for them to utilize high-impact, low-cost funding in order to improve the intersection at St. James Church Road and NC 16 in a way very similar to the Optimist Club Road configuration at this point in time. So they simply request that y'all adopt this resolution. We'll forward it to the division and they'll get started on design.
So we've had enough wrecks out there now? I'm sorry, that was ugly, wasn't it?
I don't have any crash data available at the moment.
I got you. I'll move that we accept.
All right. So we have a motion by Commissioner Cecina to accept and adopt the resolution. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. All right, now we go into public comments. This is where the public is allowed to address the board. You get 3 minutes as an individual, 5 as a group. And just a reminder, this is not a Q&A session. This is just comment only from the public. So we have Tiffany Horn signed up to speak. All right. So she's no longer in here and no one else signed up to speak, then I will close the public comment. Any other business to come before this board at this time? All right, so no other business, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, motion by Commissioner Carpenter. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. We are adjourned.